happens to be a speed bump, and so I came up close to them, and they used that as a pretext. They pulled over. They say, you're trying to injure yourself. I said, injure myself? He said, you're a harm to yourself. I said, what are you talking about? They said, well, we're going to have to take you to John George. I said, John George is dead. John George is a famous councilman, probably one of the first black councilmen in Oakland. And I knew John George. I said, I know John George. I knew he's passed away. I said, John George is dead. He said, no, that was the new psychiatric ward up in the Alameda County. I had no idea. We're going to take you to see John George. So they can't arrest me, so they say you're a harm to yourself. They called the ambulance, had me strapped down, and they took me to the crazy house, the county. They took me to the hospital. So I had somebody bring some flyers up. I had my ex-wife bring up some flyers about what was going on, a picture of Big Hank, a picture of this, that, and the other. The open letter to the police. And I had her distribute them around the hospital. Then they took me from San Leandro Hospital up to John George. So when they brought me in there, I went in there and said, the first guy I see is an African guard, you know, like they are. Imam Musa, Imam Musa. I said, yeah, they got the brother in here. So then it was a nurse, black nurse, older, getting close to retirement. I said, sister, what church you go to? She say, Allen Temple. I said, would you call Allen Temple and tell him that they got J. Alpha Smith, big time, the biggest preacher, you know. Would you call him and tell him that they got Miss Ream's boy up here in the crazy house? I sure will, which she did. Then when they kind of booking me in, are you homeless? You know, where you're getting ready to go running. I said, homeless. I said, see it, you're looking through my wallet over there. So you take out that slip. I says, what does it say? I said, first of all, how much money is there? They said $500 and $100 bill. I said, right. I said, do you have $500? No. I said, now that slip next to it is a bank slip. What does it say? It says $49,000 available. I said, that's $50,000. I said, you have $50,000? No. I said, hell, you ought to be here in the crane. What you doing booking me in, talking about am I homeless? You ain't got $500 in your pocket, right? And you ain't got no bank account that say $50,000 available, $49,800 or something like that available. Why ain't you in here? And I'm booking you in here. You the one that look like you need help. I'm just having a good time. What I'm talking about is when Allah got a destiny for you, you'll go through different changes. Same thing with the jail experience. The jail experience last month was a wonderful experience. Why? All the people I saw in there, and I saw the children of friends of mine, they're in their 50s, a lot of them. They know me as a big myth, you know, this great George Washington for Negroes type guy back in history. They done heard it all their life. Been all over Africa, Asia, the Middle East, and the biggest nigga to come out of that city and produce this, that, and that. The mayor of East Oakland hired more people in the city, which is basically true, and they live better than city employees. All that's actually true. But for the last 40 years, the last 38 years, I've been the Imam in the Masjid, and I don't see them that much. You know, we don't cross paths, and their children are my kids' age, you know, my boys' age, late 40s and middle and early 50s. You see what I mean? So this is somebody they've heard about. So when I go to jail, I'm doing three things. I'm praying, fasting, I'm doing push-ups, and I'm writing like I do in these books. I'm writing. So when they hear about me and they see, oh, you so-and-so, I look at it as a stage and screen experience. I'm showing them who I am because they didn't heard about this guy, all this flamboyant stuff. And I'm showing them, no, this is what I do. What makes me be able to cruise along in here like nothing? Why am I not eating? And I explain to them that it gives you a feeling of power over yourself. Although you're in jail. And what do they want to do if you're in jail? The main thing they're waiting for is time to eat. It's the only pleasurable experience you have in jail. Even though the food ain't no good, it's still the only thing you can get out of your cell, maybe walk around, all that. So they're seeing me under a whole new dispensation. I'm here for a little or nothing, and they all know eventually that, but I'm challenging the system. This is the type of behavior you have. You control your eating. You control your sex. You control your thinking. So all they see me is doing push-ups. All they see me doing is I ain't eating no food. And I make sure, I almost announce it. I'm not eating that stuff. Hey man, do you want this? I make sure that everybody knows. So now, after you miss the first meal, from then on, everybody's watching. They got their eyes on you to make sure. And after a day, they said, they don't eat in 2 days. What's wrong with him? How can he do it? He don't eat nothing. I'm doing a different fast. I'm drinking water, but I ain't eating no food. And if we're talking, I tell the guy, well, I'm psychologically prepared for 10 days of this easy, just without even, and it ain't no struggle. It ain't no, I have to think, I don't eat. No. It ain't nothing like that. It's just that I said, I'm not going to eat, and I don't want to eat. I couldn't eat if I wanted to. Because, you know, the preparation. So they're seeing a totally different type. They're seeing where we are now. Fasting, praying, doing push-ups. What are you writing? I'm just making notations about I got work to do when I get out. When are you going to get out? Now remember, everybody in there, they're in there for parole violation. They're in there waiting to go to court. They're in there, and everybody that's going over the case with you, they looking at 5 years, 10 years, and more. And the longest I can be there, I'm there on the trespassing in my own property. Technically, if worse comes to worse, I could be there 3 days each time. If just the sky falls, I could be there a week. I don't think it's possible, but just say, and everybody else has been there, they're going to be there 5 years. They're going back to joint parole violation. How much you got left? I got a lifetime. I got this. And what hits me is gratefulness. That a lot of the guys' parents that I know, homeboys of mine, and a few homeboys that came through, they were all, the closest guy to my age was a guy 70. And there was one guy sleeping next to me later. I thought he was the same age as me, but he was born in 55, so he was 10 years younger than me, and he looked 10 years older. And he's getting ready to go to federal penitentiary for another 10 years. I was overcome by gratefulness that in all those times, years ago, when the message came to me, finally I listened. So in the last 40 years, with all the accumulation of little hassles with the police here and there, maybe I've done 10, maybe 20 days in 40 years. And it's just going in 1 hour, 2 hours, or a day, that night and go to court in the morning. But technically I haven't did any time. And I'm looking at everybody else that didn't listen to the message. And out of the brothers that are my age, 72 years old, we started in them kiddie jails back in the 50s. First time I got sent up was when I was 12 years old in 1957. So when I came out in 59, I might have stayed out 3 months and I went back. And when I got out again, it was 61. When I got out in 61, I stayed out to 62. When I got out in 62, it wasn't out that long. No, when I went back in 62, when I got out, it was 65. 65. Now that means, to me it was great because it was your young life when you wouldn't be doing nothing but riding bicycles and eating popsicles, just, they call it your formative years, you know what I mean? But then after that, I stayed out till 73. When I was in the county jail in LA, I was talking to one of my friends, Brother Puff. We was in the nation together. And I was asking, yeah, man, I ain't seen you since we was in Tracy together. This is 73. He said, you been out all that time? 8 years. I said, yeah. He was sharp then. What I'm trying to say is, in 73, you go in, you come back, go in, come back. That is the pattern of 85% of the people. It's institutionalization. It's almost, you can't live outside, and if you could, you got parole. You got this, you got all that to bring you back. You see what I mean? Long story short, when I was in that jail, I was so thankful, like it doubled up on my Islam, whatever, tripled up 1,000,000 times. You know why? I was so thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when I went to the federal system, as a grown man, I ain't did no whole lot of time. If I went in 73, I got out at the end of 76. You know what I mean? 3-something years, 3.5 years. I don't go back till 78, something. And I get out, by the time I get out in 81, I ain't did no more time. That's 81, 37 years ago, something like that. It's about 37 years ago that I ain't been in the penitentiary. And I've been an imam all of that time. And last time I went back, it was a type of a fluke, you know what I mean? The point I'm making is gratefulness and honor. So when I read about this, that Moses is saying, oh Allah, help me with this, help me with that. And then Allah says, man, I've been at your back all the time. When you was a little kid, I hooked you up. How you think you beat all that? They killing everybody and you just float on through like ain't nothing happening. And we put you up in the best house in town, right? And you get the best treatment in the world. So in life, that's the way I look at it. I had the best treatment. I lived better than any Negro I knew. I don't even know nobody. Later on, it was big crew that came. But I not only got big in wealth, but I enjoyed the wealth at that time. Enjoyed physical health. You know what I mean? Enjoy, had everything to go along with it. That was to learn about wealth. That was to learn about power. That was to learn about people. That was to learn management. This is the way I look at it. So this whole story that Allah is telling Moses, and I brought you up this way so I would bring you up under my own eyes. You don't have, Allah don't have to, this is a figure of speech for Moses. That I brought you up under my care, and I let you go through all of them changes. The reason we call this a blacksmith is, you know, a blacksmith in the old days worked with metal. They made every tool if you needed a real metal ring to go on your wagon or something. You had to make it. You couldn't go to a hardware store now and buy a pre-fitted thing to go into whatever you needed. The blacksmith did it. Bam! Boy, he worked with metal. He'd take that metal and he'd stick it in the hot fire and have a little thing that blowed in there, and it made that fire, blew that air in there, and it got that fire red hot. And he would stick it in that red hot and then beat it. Bam! 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 Then he'd stick it in cold water, right? And then beat it some more, shaping it, fashioning for it. Then he'd stick it in the heat again, right? And they get red hot, and then he's beating, and he's shaping, and he's forming, and he's fashioning that metal. Then he stick it in cold water, right? Again, and he's beating, and he's shaping it from one extreme to the other, from ice cold to red hot. Always the hammer of life beating and bashing. You would think the metal worker or the blacksmith hated metal, right? But he loved metal, and after he's beat and shaped and formed and fashioned, down near the end, he's more tapping. He's not beating anymore, right? And then when you hold that up, you have a well-formed, perfectly made tool to do a specific job. This is the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did Moses. And technically, this is the way Allah did me. All of those encounters, all the shaping, fashioning, and forming. And when you look up, you look at the tool that Allah had made. Hey, man. That's why it says, and now, he said, and thus early I spread my own love over thee, and this in order that thou might be formed, beat, shaped, fashioned under my own eyes. Now that's the way I look at the momentum of destiny. We talked about the momentum of history. America, the world is going in a certain way. And this is a big world, and the momentum is pushing in a certain way. That way, some catastrophic, extraordinary, over-normal event would have to happen to stop the world or to change the direction that it's going in. The direction is the ascendancy and the unity of black people, people of color, and Muslims, all of those people. Everyone is really on the uprise, like China and all that, are people of color. Everybody's on the decline. Even Africa, out of all this fitna, is on the incline. The only people on the decline is European and American systems. Latin America is fumbling to get their footing, but they're not on no decline. Asia is fumbling around, but they're putting the Vietnam, all of them, putting their pieces together. All of Africa, fitna, people dying. Yemen, people dying, but the direction that they're going in is on the incline. You see? And the direction that the West and America is a decline. That's the momentum of history. The momentum of destiny means that, inshallah, some people would be shaped, formed, and fashioned to carry out that mission. I believe that's what's happening in our case. I believe it so hard. It's just unbelievable. Then it goes on to say, and then thou dost sojourn for years among the people of Midian. The beauty about that is he got a Midian is the same people as Shuaib. That's Shuaib's people. Remember? Yeah. And what did they have? The one God theory. They already had the one God. They weren't polytheists. These were Shuaib's people. They had a one God theory. Jethro in the Bible, huh?
Jethro.
Yeah, Jethro is a one God theory. Okay. So they didn't have to get they didn't need no dawah. If they doing anything, they giving dawah to Musa alayhi salam. Right? The sojourn in Africa and Asia and the Middle East and South America to learn the cultures and the history and the cities almost of everybody, that anytime you watch a movie or the news and you say, I know that place, I know that place. Almost 80% of the stuff you see in the news, when you can say, oh yeah, I know what that is, that's such and such. I mean, you have a familiarity, but that's a blessing from Allah. There would have been no other reason to do that unless it was the oppression here. Because Negroes in those days definitely didn't run off too far. Right? So to learn the history, cultures, and backgrounds of all these people was the same thing that it says, and then didst thou sojourn for years amongst the people of Midian, and now thou hast come here as ordained by me, O Moses. I have chosen thee for my service. The footnote says, under my protection and in accordance with the destiny which I have decreed for thee, possibly a reference to Moses' upbringing within the cultural environment of the royal palace and his subsequent acquisition of the ancient wisdom of Egypt. Circumstances which were to qualify him for the future leadership and special mission that Allah had in view of him. So, for this jail experience, conference experience, the conference was wonderful in Tehran just a couple of days ago. We had no idea that at the Unity Conference, which we've been doing for 31 years, I've been to I don't know how many of them. And I didn't speak there this time because I got there late. But I gave interviews, they got all the booths set up, interviews. And I was telling everybody this, I said, no, what we have to do, these are wonderful talks and everything, but we have to get this message to the people. Technically, I was talking about the chief of the Unity organization here. He's been going there. He's on the board of directors of this. The guy here. You have, I have, nobody else have ever heard him even give a speech on, I just got back from the 12th annual meeting and unity, and we want to spread a message of friendship and unity to Dar al-Hijra, Baltimore. I bet you can't find nobody in D.C. that's ever even heard of Majma al-Taqlid. And this guy is on the board of directors. Why? Because he never comes back and says anything about it. Those lectures are the best lectures you'll hear from some of the best people in the world, Muslim world, but it goes around that circuit. They're talking to each other. So I told him, I said, we should do this every 3 years. I said, number one, each person that goes back to his country wanted to be, Imam Musa, I'm in the street like that. I said, hey, how you doing? They should give that person, ask him how he's set up, and say, look, instead of inviting you again next year and the year after that, you tell us what you need to get this unity word around. Are you an imam? Yes. Well, we're going to help you turn a little place in your masjid into a unity office. In the office, they translate all those lectures, or they tell them there to translate it, and send us all the literature you have on this unity, and we're going to copy it and spread it around. Some of the good lectures, we're going to take them ourselves, and we're going to seek permission to speak in different places all over our country, wherever it is. That's a little office. And what it is, it ain't going to cost much. Why? Because if they pay for your ticket and them five-star hotels, those five-star, and the buses and the food, you ought to see the revolutionaries over there. Boy, their biggest action is at dinner time. Good God Almighty. Man, they come, I don't know how they do it, but only a couple of them are fat, you know what I mean? These guys are normal size. Boy, but when it comes to the dinner table, I look at them plates and I said, good God Almighty, how do they do that? And the ulama, some of them are tummy-fied, you know. And they be giving them speeches. I couldn't even talk if I ate like they do. But we could have this worldwide movement spread from the conference to the people. If they supported us, we could have a little room downstairs, copy machine, stuff we do our own flyer. We could, like we say, DC to Baltimore, DC to Richmond, right? We could get flyers and volunteer for lectures at any unity conference. And if they didn't like it from us, we could hustle up one of the brothers from some other thing to seek permission to talk on the subject of unity. We could make a deal out of it. And we don't come back but once every 3 years. That money that would cost us for 2 years, that money is sent to the people to help them manage it, for copies, for translate, right? Everybody was amazed at that. That's a wonderful idea. I said, sure. I said, of course, I make it every year, but it's all right. I mean, every time I come, I tell you the same thing. But the lectures are beautiful, but they circuit around. Like an intellectual, like the old parties in India or anywhere, they were speaking to themselves and not getting the word out to the public. That's the way this unity conference is. But God is the rescuer. 31 years of circuitry. In one day, Donald Trump unified the Muslims. Has anybody been watching the news? The Muslims are woke all over, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in Africa, in Asia, in the Middle East. All the Muslims in Turkey. I saw demonstrations in the news from every Muslim country is the same. In every European country. And not only unity amongst the Muslims, but unity of the world. I didn't hear nobody, even in Europe, endorse Don's message. Nobody. We've spent millions on unity and didn't even have still in step one. Don hit a grand slam, his first time up the plate, and the first pitch, he hit it out of the park. And everybody was on base, ready to go for unity. The bases was loaded, must have been several hundred bases, and this boy hit the ball 3 times out of the park. The people just see which way it went. They don't know where it went. That's Don. That's his ability. Everything else, the other advantages we've gained recently, we gained those from them. We don't, like us. These dummies try to work me to death. They're stupid. You don't see me sweating and whatever we do it fi-sabilillah, right? They're going to hinder it. But don't stop me from working. Let's go from one project to another. You can look out the window and you can see the end on Brother Tufel's place, right? when I put that, not that that was practice, but each one gets better. I put that there, and just before I finished, his ex-wife packed up and left. I mean, I was one day, the building was already finished. I was gonna just knock the hole in the wall, the brick wall there, you know, in the bedroom, and put a little platform, little steps, and you could walk right into that. It's a perfect wall-to-wall carpet. It's probably rotted down. I don't know what's in there now. But the day it was ready, 2 days, it was ready to move in there. They just had to walk around the side to get in before we, you know, hook up everything for the right time. Remember we was on our workout program when Abdul-Jalil was the chief of physical fitness? All right. And we had a meeting, we're gonna have 3 brothers paired, together, and da-da-da-da-da. But before that, Masjid al-Islam News, if you ever looked in that annex there, nice place. Muhafiz was supposed to have all this equipment in there, the media, Masjid al-Islam News. Boop. It's like the people who are supposed to do it go blind. I don't think they ever even walked in there. The weight room, where we used to have the weights outside and everything, boy, you had to be a gangster. But in the penitentiary, the weights was out. You had a gym and you had them out on the yard. You just bundle up, you'd be out there driving. When you're young, that's fine. As you get a little older, you say, well, that weight room is like a workout shack in the old-time penitentiary. It's a shack with weights in it and stuff. That's exactly what we have out there. It's out in the cold. Now, it gets so cold sometimes, you just have to take one, you know, those thermal things we have down there for the. Now, what I do is I take one and light one in there, and I run it down the iron a couple of times, and I have my gloves on, 2 pair of gloves, and I can hold it over there, and it won't, where it heat up your hands, but it don't burn it. Then I grab that iron. When I was younger, we'd be outside, and that bar would be freezing, and your hands are freezing, and the gloves are freezing, and you touch that iron cold. You know how cold that, boy, good God Almighty, but that's when you're young. So we built the weight room. The day we was finished, all the brothers drifted away. Just think about that. It was about 10 years ago. Everybody drifted away. Right after that, I want the people to do, one of our brothers, I'm interested in books and oil. Fine. We'll build you a bookstore. After that's built, don't nobody go in the bookstore. They forget what the thing was built for. It's okay. You know, all of the additions on the housing so people would have more room for their family. As soon as you finish, they pack, boop, they gone. So, the reason we do that is to show people what you can do. I do it as exercise. Say, look, if I can do this stuff by myself, I know, you know, if you build a concrete basketball court, mixing, I don't know who's ever mixed concrete, sand, and Portland cement with a shovel and a big giant thing by hand. When you finish that, if you grab somebody, you'll snatch their shoulder off you so tough. That's pharaonic work. You ever did that? Yeah. You gotta tell me, if you're lucky, see, I lift weights, so it don't kill me. But it'll almost kill you just in the summertime, too. Hey man, okay, and you build